and welcome to episode 28 of the Hobby Hammer Cast. I'm joined today by
Do you say
Miles.
issue? Wait a sec.
Shit, I said episode! Issue!
Issue.
We're more wanky than that.
It's wrong already.
Sorry.
It's wrong already.
Sorry. Hopefully everyone forgives my stupidity. And what's on the menu today, Miles?
We're not editing that out. Okay, yeah, that's the kind of slick.
I have power of editing. I'm not doing it.
We're running here by the looks of it. Okay, what are we talking about today? So we'll be highlighting you, the community. We'll be highlighting your work through the hashtag hobby hammer hashtag, seeing what wonderful work you've been creating. And we'll be just sort of doing like a little bit of a meander, catching up on what Max and I have been up to. This past week, I have got a lot of requests on the conversions I posted up, so I'll do a bits rundown of those, and then we'll be finishing it all off by gushing over Space Marine 2, and it seems to be capturing the zeitgeist of the community at the moment. Lots of social media posts, a lot of energy. I've played 3 minutes of the game. Those 3 minutes are excellent. 9 out of 10 if the rest of the game is like that 3 minutes.
Well, let's start off there, Miles, because it's sort of I think would be a nice lead.
I was going to say, sorry, you interrupted my perfect little segue there. Talking about cultural zeitgeist, this is something where we need to touch on.
Yeah,
it might be a little bit boring in female custodies.
We've done this. This is old news.
We've done this. It's reared up its head again. We've in Warhammer Plus's recent animation, The Tithes, we have seen our first representation of a female custodies. We've addressed this issue already. It feels like no matter which side you take or what you say about the subject, it's polarizing, and ultimately, from my perspective, it's boring. It's just a boring conversation to have at this point.
Should we restate our views on it?
Yes.
And I'll go first so that I get the flack and people can turn off when I say it. I don't give a fuck. Like, either way. Either way. Like, there we go. Goodbye, everyone that wanted me to care more than that.
That's the official stance of Hobby Hammer.
Yeah, either way it comes down. I'm more surprised that people are angry for a second time, actually. Because I think that's the news this week on it, is that people are surprised by a thing that already has happened.
Yeah.
Rather than anything else.
Yeah, the conversation surrounding it is rancid. It's absolutely rancid. I've seen a small clip. I have to say, the Tithe, the episode, I mean, let's like distangle the drama, throw that away. The actual episode itself seems really interesting. So this custodian turns up to a planet that it looks like it's been invaded by Tyranids. I've only seen a tiny bit on Twitter. And she communicates to a Space Marine force garrison there, or fighting on the world. No, you have to withdraw. What we're doing is creating a fire tide around Terra. So populated worlds, they're nuking into oblivion to create a dead ring. Like, I'm not exactly sure how this works in three-dimensional space and the Astronomicon, but whatever. I like the idea of the Imperium mercilessly nuking their own planets from orbit to stop further Tyranid invasion towards Terra.
Would you say it's worth checking out? Like, because I had Warhammer Plus, I watched the Iron Warriors one like sort of 6-10 times, and I sort of trained through everything else once. Is it worth me getting Warhammer Plus to watch the Tithe?
I've never subscribed to it, so I'm not sure. On the small, I mean, how much is Warhammer Plus? Is it like 15 quid a month?
Don't know. It's insert Miles when you release the video. Insert amount of money below.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
let's say it's £15. Let's just say that. Why not?
It's £200 a month. What?
£200. I think it'd be worth subscribing to because that Inquisitor miniature. So you could buy like a year's subscription for I think like 60 quid, and you get that miniature and you get the access to buy the other miniature. Okay. So if you were interested in buying that miniature, you kind of get like a subscription bolted on the top of it. Yes, I suppose it'd be worth it for that. But ultimately, subscribing to a service like that, I haven't heard the greatest of things from it.
Just an amount of content, or
So personally, I'm waiting for it to collapse. I don't think it's a sustainable business model, because this came out around the time of like a Disney Plus, like a lot of Plus services coming out during COVID, where things of that nature are trending up, whereas people want more personal experiences now. I get the feeling in the next few years they're going to disband that and take all the materials, all the animations, and put them on another streaming platform like Amazon, where it's going to be. That's what they should have done in the first place. Widen out their audience as much as humanly possible, and then a bit like a cinema, right? You don't make any money off the movie, you make it off the popcorn. Bring people in with the animation, sell them glue.
Yeah. So I agree, because it could be such a good marketing tool for them, and then we all get it free. But anyway, that is, I think, the news.
Yes. That's
without
news.
delving back into female custodies.
As far as it goes.
Shall we go into Space Marine?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do Space Marine. You tell me, Miles. Paint me a picture, because it's not something I'm interested in. I just know I'll get too lost in it. Like, say, I bought Total War 3 about 6 months ago, and after a week of not editing any videos, I was like, I need to uninstall this, because I will stop being able to do the channel. So tell me.
I've bought it on the PS5 or whatever the latest PS whatever is. I only watch Netflix on the damn thing. I don't even know why I bought it. But I don't have it here in the office, because that is exactly what I do. I just hang out in my underwear, eating Doritos, playing Space Marine, instead of being here, hanging out in my underwear, eating Doritos, painting miniatures.
With a shirt on, with an overshirt
with
on.
a shirt on.
Because obviously none of us can see below the camera line.
Yeah, I only wear this to record. I'm a bum other times. Space Marine 2, I've only played 3 minutes of it. I paid, I think it's like £50 extra for like the gold ultra edition with all the add-ons and the season pass that I had no idea of, but crucially it gave you 4 days early access. But tomorrow I'm running a freehand course. I'll need to prepare materials tonight for it. Sunday I'm teaching, so I won't be able to play it until it gets a normal release anyway. So I kind of feel like I hamstrung myself there. But why I've bought this game is not necessarily to play, because I don't play that many video games. Because like it's the time sink element of it. I enjoy video games. I enjoy them a bit too much. That little thing in your brain that just keeps pulling you towards it, like that dopamine hit. Oh, let's play Space Marine. So I try and stay away from that as much as I can. The reason why I bought this game is for the visuals.
Yeah.
Space Marine 1, I absolutely adored that game, because when you saw Titus mowing his way through a bunch of orcs, I'd look at his armor and the connection seals between like the rubberized panels and the Space Marine armor. There was a slight discoloration on the blue. I thought that's such a gorgeous design. And when you're seeing the new graphics of the Space Marine designs, you can pick out little notes, little hints like that. The slight discoloration around the gorget, the creases on a Space Marine's knuckles, the battle damage, and you're seeing them in different light environments as well. So you're seeing them in dynamic light environments. This game is just such a dream from a visual point of view, just to absorb yourself in the visuals and translate them into the work that you could produce.
Yeah, so you're looking at it from like character creation and sort of like the painter's point of view, as like an addition to your painting, as well as being a fun game, Gears of War.
It's a reference. Yeah, I've put it on this easier settings. I've played 3 minutes. I'm already finding it quite hard going. I don't play a game to be challenged, and I don't think this game necessarily. You don't play this game for the storyline, even though I mean it looks quite good, but it's not like The Last of Us, where it almost feels like you're playing a novel. In this game, it's about like that visceral experience of and the what do you call it? Like the when you put yourself in the role of a hero, the power fantasy.
Yeah,
it's the power fantasy of being a Space Marine clump, and you do feel the weight of a Space Marine. I'm really thankful for this, because in some of the Final Fantasy VII animations. You know, Cloud with this huge sword, and he's spinning around like a whirling dervish, and he's using the sword almost like a knife. Like there's
Yeah.
no sense of weight to it. But Space Marine, he's not sprinting along. He's not jumping up in there, spinning around like a harlequin. No, it's like his boots thudding against the ground. He's quite slow, purposeful.
Yeah.
Like the movements he makes are devastating. And it has, and that's why I'm glad what they translated over from the previous game to this. The weight, the heaviness, the power of this thing as he slams his way through all the Tyranids.
It's sort of, when I was looking at the trailers, because although I don't think I can play this game from a sanity point of view, I like it will destroy my life.
Yeah.
When I've been watching the trailers, looking at the run, it's a sort of lope that, and there's always in, for anyone that's a 30k fan, within the Space Wolf novels, they like lope along. And I think it has the animation conveys that sort of, as you say, like heaviness, power, and almost like, how does a human or a post-human with muscle fibers that are so dense they can throw rocks stronger than las cannons, according to some of the games, like how does that character move? And I think it really comes across quite nicely.
Yeah,
but
and Space Marine armor, it doesn't make any sense. Like a Space Marine can't hold his hands above his head and clap. And like in some marks of armor, like he can't sit down, because in Mark IV armor you have like this little the belly armor overlaps the groin, so if he tried to sit down it would cut into his thighs. Like it doesn't make sense. So it's nice that somebody has kind of like worked this stuff out, and you can see a Space Marine that doesn't look awkward. Because you've seen some animations, right? They just look goofy as hell walking around. But no, this actually looks threatening. These Marines, and you're the great thing about this game, you don't only have to play as a Ultramarine. So we can go into like customization, character customization, and this is part of the reason. I mean, it's the main reason why I bought this game, is that you can create your own custom color schemes. Now, how awesome is this ability? If you're planning a new chapter, if you're planning a new color scheme, and they already have assets loaded in there, like Caradons, you have Alpha Legion, I've seen Black Legion, you have
these Iron Warriors, Night Lords, World Eater. I'm on the page that we're talking about now, which is why I've jumped in. And it's the Heresy era. Some of the Iron Warriors one is the Heresy era logo, rather than.
And you have Primaris, which I think come with a lot more customization. So if you are I think it's a Bulk Walk is the name of the class, the guy with the shield and sword, you're able to have a customization of like the faceplate, robes, shoulder pads, that kind of thing. As far as I'm aware, the same level of customization isn't available to the Traitor Legions yet, but no doubt this game is proven to be so successful. I'm seeing it absolutely everywhere. It's getting very good reviews from, us, obviously, but like people outside who aren't interested in Warhammer lore at all. This game captures a feel. This game is really taking off. So no doubt we will see greater customization to traitors later on down the line, hopefully.
Yeah, I was laughing then. It's getting great reviews, not only from us, with a total playtime of 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yes. But no,
trust our
3
opinion.
minutes, yeah. 10 out of 10. 9, because you can't customize the legions. But yeah, 10 out of 10. And they got Primaris in there as well, so that's automatically a 6.
Yeah, I think the thing that I sort of wanted to really just highlight, rather than go massively into, the environments. I've been building a lot of terrain at the moment. And the actual environment, how you move about in it, and just getting inspiration. It's almost like watching the videos that I have of Space Marine 2, getting ideas for terrain and how interactions between terrain pieces, and a lot of them are sort of based on at least that Imperial City box that Games Workshop does, it's all the same style, obviously being Imperial cities. And that I find very inspiring. So even if you're not going to buy Space Marine 2, all the stuff that me and Miles have just talked about, it's worth looking up Space Marine 2 and watching some videos to get that feeling.
There's lots of playthroughs already on this subject. Just have it on in the background because the sounds are fun as well. Like the sound design is really good, like that throaty bark of a bolter, or the chainsaw, like as it dissects a Tyranid warrior. Yeah, it's really like verbose. You know, it's great. Like the visual design, the graphics, gameplay as far as like 3 minutes goes seems fun. All in all, it just has a bit of something for everyone, and I'm so glad that this kind of game can take off, and I would love to see more. I think this is a AAA game. Is that correct?
Don't know.
Maybe. Let's say it is. Why not? Who's going to fact check us? It's a AAA game, or it's a very high quality game at the very least. I'd love to see more high quality games set in the Warhammer universe like this. So Necromunda. Deathwing was an excellent game. The lag time with that was a problem. You know, speaking of environments, I wish there was a god mode you could put on Deathwing where you could just play a servitor or like a servo skull.
Yeah.
Because when you're walking around these environments, you're too busy trying to kill Tyranids, but you have all this gorgeous architecture around it that you simply don't get the chance to look at and go. I wish I was like a servitor, a servo skull tourist in there just looking around.
Yeah, and get the feeling. It's good seeing them in 3D to get that sort of like the full Z axis.
Lighting effects as well, with the different lighting effects, and you got like the moss and how graphic designers make the world feel lived in. It is just a visual treat.
Right. So that's Space Marine 2.
Space Marine 2.
Space Marine 2.
Done and dusted.
Done. Completed it, mate.
Done it, mate.
Shall we go on to what the Hobbyhammer team has been doing? Community, that's the word.
Family.
Is that family like off Fast and Furious? Like it's all about family.
Absolutely.
It's all about family.
I need to drink a Corona right now. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Miles / Dom, take it away. Where we started? Let's start with that. Let's go with. I've got Green Company Paintings Imperial Fist Praetor that we picked out to highlight.
Yes.
And it's
we did go through the hashtag. So anybody out there who's watching this, like, I want a bit of this. I want to be part of the family. I want to drink a Corona. Hashtag anything with Hobbyhammer. We will find you. We will highlight you. But these are the ones that really stood out to us these past couple of months. I mean, the Green Company painting. Is this? It looks like a 3D sculpt. It looks like a 3D file that's been printed out.
Yeah, I think so. Like within the description, it was mentioning
big,
about
chunky armor, small head, perfect Space Marine proportions. What's really nice to see is the differentiation of textures on here. So you have like the leather on the broadsword on the sheath coming out, like that nice choppy old worn effect. The non-metallic metal is visually distinct from the yellow armor, and that's such a hard thing to do because he's used quite a lot of yellow on both, but whereas the Space Marine armor is slightly more saturated, the non-metallic metal has a more like tinny grayish quality to it. So it's a really nice thing to see visually. When you look at it, you're automatically able to pick out the difference between the two. The black as well is really well rendered because it isn't sort of like a polished black. It's slightly more dulled, worn. Same on the chest piece as well. That black doesn't have depth to it. It almost has like a layer of dust over the top to it. So this piece overall, just a very accomplished piece of work. And Green Company Painting, please post more because we'd love to see your evolution as a miniature painter as well.
Yeah. I can't really add anything to that, Miles. You've covered it.
Well, would you like to add anything as the Iron Warriors player?
No, because I wouldn't add anything other than just slagging it off just because of in-law reasons rather than the excellent paint job.
Painting reasons.
Yeah, which I think we should focus on rather than whether or not I hate fucking Sigismund or Pollux. Right.
Okay, who's up next?
Next, we've got Forge World Odessa binaries. Children of Doom, which are a marauder horseman tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got it's the new Dark Oath models. I think with some conversions in there, but they just really stood out to me as a really well painted, like I know this like a full unit that will work well in the game, and it just will look visually really good on the tabletop. Like the color, like the difference in color across the entire unit, with all of them being done to a good standard, like really comes together. Do you know, like, it's different than painting a single piece, isn't it? It's painting units well is a skill and a thing in itself, and to have that variation across a war, like let's say a warband rather than a tribe, like the warband of the unit, giving that individual flavor to the Chaos Marauders, whilst also having them cohesive, I think has been done really well.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You need to see this as a unit, not as individual characters, and the unit stands out. Variation in tone, colors, like the slight conversions. Yeah, everything about it, and green tufts as well improves any paint job.
Green tufts. Are we going with Scorpion's green bases? Should be
Scorpion green. No, Goblin green bases.
You see, there was an era of Scorpion green in there when people started differentiating it.
I remember, and that
I was a
era
Scorpion
was wrong.
greener. I was a Scorpion greener.
You're a pup. You're a child.
So next we've got the green lid miniatures. I don't know what Death Reaper thing. It's on a square base, so it's a square base. But
so this is from AOS. I think it's from one of the Warcry warbands. Yeah, my style of painting. When you look at this piece, you aren't looking at a miniature. You're looking. It's as if you're being transported into the world and you're seeing the creature in front of you. The tone, the atmosphere, the weathering. It feels like I'm in the world when I look at this sort of piece, and but you still have the clarity of details, because I think with some grimdark paint jobs they can lean more into being indistinct, and you can't see individual elements. With this, I can very clearly see the cloth is different from the skin, and the skin is different from the scythe. It all has different rusts. I visually, when I look at this, I understand what the pieces are, and I understand the textures. I understand this. So just very restrained in the way he's used weathering with this. Excellent work. Absolutely excellent work.
Yeah, and it's something that stood out to me because, like this sort of paint job is definitely something that I go for quite a lot. Do you know, like doing the like the grimdark style, and that is a trap that I fall into quite often. Is that do you know is the indistinctness? I think you hit the nail on the head with it.
Yeah.
Between and so it stood out to me as like a really good example of sort of stuff that I would want to start aiming for. Do you know, like to
clarity.
Yeah. At least in like character models and stuff, because we'll get on to like what I've actually been doing later, but especially and why only character models. But yeah, thought it was a really good example that I will be saving for definitely a good number of army projects.
Yeah.
Right, we've got Subaden Khan's White Scars Praetor, or I'm assuming a Praetor. Oh, it's a tactical squad. He's a tactical squad dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
with a massive katana.
Yeah, a massively oversized katana. And I just thought it was quite a nice, clean paint job. So I really like the skin tones in it. I think the blade has actually been done really nicely. Like from looking at it, like yes, it is oversized, Miles. And I'm not usually a fan of like, do you know, like massive, wacky,
Mm.
oversized blades, but I think the painting is nice
Mhm.
and
I mean,
enjoyed.
it's the universe, right? It's a goofy universe, and with the scale, you do want to make it stand out a little bit more. I'd be interested to find out whether that's like scale accurate, whether the grip of the sword is appropriate for the blade, because you want it longer to balance it out. Whereas we're so used to seeing things like the First Imperial Fist Praetor, like that kind of bastard sword with the shorter grip and like the longer blade. Yeah, good, clean, punchy paint job. Great for infantry. You'll be able to knock out 20 of these in a couple of weeks using this paint scheme. Yeah, what's not to love?
Yeah, but on the hilt length, these I don't know whether like it's for the like Japanese or
Asian.
Asian areas, but I know like say the Dacians, like Roman times, had the falx blade that had like such a long, do you know, like a big hilt for sort of a short sword, medium
Yeah.
sword length on the end. So there's certainly stuff knocking about, whether it's got historical precedent directly for that exact blade.
Let
I
us know
don't
how wrong we are in the comments below, and call us call us every name
idiots.
under the sun.
Oh, and
Downvote the
also,
video,
also,
unsubscribe, unring that bell.
yeah, and correcting me on my pronunciation of Dacia,
Yeah.
like any you want to call it after the car company. Right. Next we've got Jeremy from Dark Horse Paintings Dwarf. And
This guy is keeping the challenge alive. Well, and yourself, I suppose, Max. But towards this time of year, like I'm inundated with paint jobs. I'm looking wistfully over my pile of Marauder horsemen and marauders that I need to paint for the army. But whereas I'm thinking about painting, this guy's actually doing it. Yeah, he has cranked out so many units on Discord. And we've got so many images under the Hobby Hammer tagline. We were kind of like spoiled for choice over what to showcase.
yeah, but like I kept on like going, oh, that's a nice model, and clicking on it, and it was Jeremy's.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a nice model, clicking on it, it's Jeremy. Like, god damn it, we can like I'm only putting in one, but there's loads of really nice ones, and this is just one that, because Miles hates dwarfs, I selected this one specifically because I really like dwarfs, and I think it's a Slayer done really well.
It is a Slayer done well. Yeah, it is. Where's this miniature from?
This is Highlands Miniatures. Do you know? So I was telling Miles before the
Oh.
cast about Highlands Miniatures, which are really good for these like sort of 6th edition sculpts. Like both, like they're really good for Empire dwarfs, Kislev, things like that, because it's got the sort of the 6th edition feel, like, or like, how do you say, like paint feel, the brush feel to
Paint
painting the
feel.
model,
Yeah.
like mouth feel for the like Japanese mouth feel.
For
Like,
words, yeah. When you say differentiate, it makes you feel smart. It has that roundedness to it.
yeah,
Um,
so it's paint
and
brush feel.
we've painted miniatures that, I mean, are not good miniatures, but we've just enjoyed. Like a lot of the early Necromunda range, like some of the scum on that. I got one guy with a couple of bolters, and when you compare it today, like there are certain details that are slightly off, but I really enjoy painting it because it has that nice brush feel to it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this is Highlands and a really good paint job. One of many
Yeah.
that have been
Tick,
submitted.
tick.
Right. Finally, we've got, sorry, Gonzio, I have not got your name on this because I got it off this off the computer. But yeah, this is Gonzio's Ultramarine versus Wordbearer Assault Marine Sergeant.
Yeah.
That,
Superb, isn't it?
yeah, just a fantastic paint job. Do you know what, you know him more than me? You interacted
I
with him more than
do.
me,
Yeah,
so you.
Lawrence, long-time student, and we've been talking about the creation of his Ultramarines for a long, long time. And we wanted, so when you create armies, you want to create something that's different from the rest. And a lot of students come to me and say, I want to be known for something. And he wants to be known for this collection, for this army. And how do you differentiate your army away from other people's? Theme, tone, and symbols being used within them. And we decided, okay, when you think of Ultramarines in the Heresy, what is the first story that comes to mind? And it was the portrayal of Calth. So, okay, let's do an army around that. Even though it might not be the most tactically flexible or best use in game, we're going to strip out everything that doesn't conscribe to this theme, and we stick in theme, and only theme. So everything is battered, everything is front-facing, everything is dynamic moving forward, everything is aggressive in this army. And we talked about one of the great things about the Horus Heresy is these small little vignettes that they used to produce. You have Abaddon versus Loken. They could have released those two miniatures separately, but no, they decided to put them together on a shared base to create a mini diorama. You have Fulgrim, Ferris. I mean, there's so many different examples in this. So we wanted to introduce a little bit of that element, into a little bit of storytelling into the base. And that's what this was a representation of. That's, I mean, apart from just looking badass, it's kind of like paying a tribute to all the early Heresy style modeling.
Yeah. What Miles said.
It's very good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Miles
exactly.
said.
Because
Yeah,
I actually picked this out. And then he's actually just nicely worked out that it's also Lawrence's. So, yeah. Cool. I think that comes to the end of our list.
Yeah, that's a highlight of the Hobby Habit community. Should we talk about the stuff we did? Let's.
Yes, you go first.
Slightly selfish.
You go first.
I'll go first. Okay, need to swap camera. Okay. This week on social media, I posted up a video advertising a upcoming conversion course. Oh, hold on.
Is that the December one?
It's the November one. Yes. So you can come to the studio. We have four huge boxes of bits left over from nearly 10 years worth of commissions that students will get to rummage through. Oh, his sword is slightly off. Oh, do you see what I did there? That was nerve-wracking because that could have snapped off. So students have to come along, rummage through my collection, and we create a custom bespoke character. And during this weekend, I'll teach you how to sculpt, I'll teach you how to frame a miniature, and I'll also teach you a little bit about Jungian archetypes, which do help with the creation of characters. But stripping out all that nonsense, all that stuff, people just want to know, what bits did I use for this? Well, okay, let me tell you what bits I use. So we have the Sanguinor legs.
Old Sanguinor, new Sanguinor.
Old Sanguinor. At time of recording, the new Sanguinor is not released. This is and it's all metals. It's quite heavy. That's why I needed such a big base. And then we have Astrath's wings again. Look, it's coming loose. That's giving people nightmares doing that. I bet they're clenching their teeth. We have this is the Sanguinors as well. Now the face, this was taken from an old Dark Sword miniatures, and I believe it's just called Angel, which is the head and that. And then this base is taken from the Abaddon Loken diorama set.
Okay. So what have you actually used for the scrolling? Was that like self-made?
So this comes from the Sanguinor's model. Because the old Sanguinor is kind of like elevated in the air, and he's not touching the ground.
Right, yeah.
And that's what I used here, and I kind of like pinned this onto the base. And for those interested, I used the tarot deck to frame this miniature. I'm not going to tell you what I used for it. Put the comments below. What tarot card did I use and why? Especially for a Blood Angel. Yeah, a little Easter egg there. Okay, what else have I been up to? More character conversions, because I need to get some showcase material up for this course I'm running. And I need to sell tickets for it. Tickets are still available, yes. And I've created a not Huron. So this guy is not Huron Blackheart.
Are you restarting Badab, Miles? No,
no,
don't say it.
no,
Don't say yes. Don't say
no,
yes.
no, 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 no. I think if we ever do that project again, we are not announcing it to anybody. We will do it first and then announce it.
It's the
So
curse of Badab, right? It's the curse of Badab.
yeah, like three projects I've done in the Badab, and none of them have worked out beyond like a couple of miniatures. But anyway, yes, this is my Black Legion Lord. Again, I used Jungian archetypes. Can you hear that in the background?
Yeah.
Cool. That I mean, it's very atmospheric for this piece. So I'll have a video up this weekend detailing every single part that I used for this miniature up on the Patreon and talking about the reasons behind it, because it's all well and good. Oh, that's a cool conversion, but I like talking people through the process of it. So when you come to create your own, it's not imitation. You can do something unique for yourself. But ultimately, this is a collection of Luke Huron, Lucius. This is from Ortelian Score, and the Terminator legs, the Justarian Terminator legs. So it's a collection for that used on this guy.
Cool. Yeah, he's got a really nice sense of like sort of wildness, feralness, whilst also being Legion marked, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few hallmarks to the history of where he comes from as well, like little Easter eggs in here over exactly where the gene seed comes from, his history. But and it's part of the fun of dealing with a Black Legion project like this. You have more obvious reminders of like which legions they came from, who they were, partly through the bit. But yes, absolutely spot on. Partly through the bit selection that you use, or you can have more obscure ones like this, where you can leave it purposely obscured, because the question is far more engaging than the answer. Who was he? Where did he come from? Where's he going? Who knows? And ultimately, who cares? Titus. Been working on Titus. This is a fan-made 3D sculpt that was sent to me. This is a commission, and he wanted it done in a like single-piece character style. So you'll notice it's. I mean, this is on a. It's not even on a plinth. I've used like a spray bottle for it, but it's great just to have as a display plinth, like a cheap alternative to the ones you can buy. Dealing with developing a non-metallic metal, I have a glow of the orange from this thing, lots of blood. But when we were discussing this project, we were both dissatisfied with the original Titus sculpt, and we stumbled across this online. Perfect, absolutely perfect sculpt representation of Titus, and in his new Evolved Primaris scale. Speaking of which, we also wanted to do something else. We wanted to create a bust of the character. So again, had a little search, had a little ask around what we could do, and we found this beast. How beautiful is this?
Right, so it's in the center now, Miles.
Beautiful. Titus, we got this beast as well. Again, very fortunate to find this 3D sculpt. This is made by David Arenas. Beautiful, beautiful sculpt. Again, this is not for reproduction. This is not for sale. I will not send the STLs out. These are pure fan-made sculpts used for a one-off collector's pieces. So that's what I've been up to, and a bunch of stuff I can't show off.
Boo! Boo! Boo!
Yeah, I'm sorry to like vague hammer you there, or vague book you there. Okay, Max, I'm sick of talking. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so my first one, Miles, is going to be the Reconquer Designs Villain Knights that I've done for the Bretonian. So it's not only Jeremy keeping the hobby challenge going.
Alive.
So I've got 13 Villain Knights, the Reconquer Designs prints that I'm using as mounted yeomen for my sort of my Bretonian army is themed to be a bit behind Bretonian times because they're exiles. So I'm using like sort of Battle of Hastings era, like 1066 era knights, and around that period in general. So these are Spanish villain knights, villain heroes. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce it further than that because I'll butcher it. By Reconquer Design. So I've printed these at 100% height, but 110% width. So they've got the more chunkiness to them rather than like historical miniatures. So the width and depth, is greater and not the height, because historical miniatures tend to be the same height actually as like 28mm. It just they look puny.
Yeah.
So so I've increased those two, and it actually worked quite well. The only one it got a bit funky with is these really, and they're some of the best sculpts that are in this set. The horses that are sort of like circling and going sideways are like, like really giving that dynamism to the models, because we get a lot of horses that are just running forwards, whereas what we don't get a lot of is horses doing other actions. So say this one that I'm circling on the far right, like sort of going.
I can see the one.
Yeah,
and the guy's like spearing down, and the horse is kind of like off to the side.
Yeah, exactly. So it's some of them that really drew me to it, and like as historical models, they're excellent, and I just really enjoy painting them, and they really fit into the force that I'm attempting to do quite well. So, and a massive shout out to Reconquer Designs, because they're absolutely excellent.
All the stuff he does is just out of this world.
Did I show the ladders that I've got of him?
I don't think you showed them on the show. No.
Right.
Can I pop them up?
Yeah, of course. Of course. So I've recently been doing siege warfare on the channel. I've got the first game out on the Patreon early release now. So got the walls of the old castle, and I was like, right, we need the ability to attack, and we need ladders. So the Reconquer Designs, again printed at 110% X and Y and 100% Z, have got these like climbing ladder dudes and carrying ladders, mounting ladders, and I'm really actually happy with what could just be ladders thrown on top of my units to turn them into actual little display pieces that really fit with the models. Been really happy with them, and because the historicals that they're doing at Reconquer are meant more for dioramas. So long as I'm careful with them to not snap them about, it just adds that extra little touch to the force that I just wanted. So if anyone wants to see a siege game, sack off Miles's Patreon. Go over to
cancel subscription, sign up to Max's.
Yes. See, even Miles says so. But that's what I've been doing for the Bretts. That brings me up to like 1,700 if I limit myself to 25% characters, which is something I'm trying to do, just to get more. If I don't limit myself to that, I'm 2,200 in like to 15.
I should have some time off over Christmas. Like I stop work on the 16th. Oh, that's something I wanted to talk to you about as well. Whether you'd be interested in coming over for like a Christmas do here at the studio. So I want to have like an open. We haven't discussed this before the show. This is happening live. I want to do like an open day where I don't want to run any events or any like challenges. Just come along. We could do a little bit of hobby if you want. We could get pissed if you want to. We could play Space Marine. We could fight each other. Whatever you want to do, like wrestling.
When you say fighting, is it KY Jelly Wrestling? Or...
KY Jelly it's proper man fighting without meat light swords. Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So we'll. I mean, this is the first Max is hearing about this. We'll talk about it.
I'm definitely pro the idea.
Okay, cool. We'll schedule, because that's what adulthood is. Scheduling.
Yay!
Yay! Scheduling. I'll get out your diary. Get out your file. Remember? I used to be file. Do you ever used to have a Filofax?
I didn't.
No. Okay. I think I was like the last generation that got Filofaxes for Christmas and being genuinely like excited for like, I could write down all my friends' numbers in the numbers. Like you flick over to A, Aaron. Oh wow, B, Bethany, number. Yeah, that was the time before all the numbers.
Two friends, Miles. Now I know you're lying.
2 friends. Yeah, or there'd be like a little bit of the back. where you like hour by 10:15, 10:30, 10:45, you can schedule yourself into meetings.
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
a
I wasn't
wild
at that
time.
stage. I wasn't at that stage at that point. I
File of
was
faxes.
MSNing people.
When you
Rushing.
MSN your crush, and like you're trying to edge your way to like, oh, do you want to go on a date? And she could feel the tension rising, you could feel the tension rising, and she put like an emoji or like ... and don't reply. Crushing. Absolutely. Like this generation of Tinder don't have that crushing sense of disappointment because you can just swipe. You don't have to deal with the rejection. That's why the world is the way it is, because people aren't getting rejected on MSN anymore.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. Bring back rejection.
Well, as well as bringing stuff back from the late 90s, the next thing that I've got is again Highlands Miniatures Imperial Dwarf.
Yes.
Like for that nice
Imperial
brush feel.
Dwarves.
Yeah, well, I'm starting an Empire army. I'm playing an all Empire Civil War event in January, right?
Cool.
So I need to paint minimum 2,000 points by January. Well, if I can possibly, I'm going to do more. So I'm representing the Wolf Emperors and playing Middenland. And we've got like people from all over provinces. And yeah, we're going to be playing the Empire Civil War. So
that's awesome.
Where better to start but dwarfs?
Dwarves, yeah, of course. Yeah. When obviously. I think Middenham, I think dwarves.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad it comes across. But I've got the entire army done. Sadly, Games Workshop is not producing most of the models. I'll be getting my Steam Tank from Games Workshop, but I don't think I can get much else from them. So got the Imperial
Highland Miniatures to the rescue.
Exactly. And one of the things is it has the puffy sleeves on all of, like, the event won't be won by the person that wins the most games. It will be won by the person with the puffiest sleeves, and I'm sure that will be Otto von Pantaloon and his Middenlander mercenaries.
I can already see the size of his feather in his cap. Majestic.
Yeah. He might also not, and because I've not made the model yet, but he might have bad pants. He might have ripped pants to contrast his namesake of Bon Pantaloons. Okay. So yeah, that's what I've been working on, units wise.
Mm-hmm.
I've then got my ZM board that I've been working on.
Oh yeah, no, this is the bit I wanted to
Have you been
see.
saving?
Yes. I was trying to feign enough interest in the dwarves to get to this bit. Yes.
Yeah, so essentially I started making the bottom half, like the shaded half. It's when this set, like these ZM sets first came out years ago, when what was it? The Corpse Grinder Cult campaign, the Uprising campaign first came out.
Dark Uprising,
that one. So I started making that. I was it was just at the start of COVID, that was, because I'd taken all the sets over to Australia with me, because I was like, I need something to do, because we're going to emigrate, we're going to get jobs. It's not going to be traveling about, it's going to be like sitting down and slowly making friends with people over 12 months, like, rather than making friends with the travel community. So yeah, I ended up sitting in rural, or just outside of Brisbane, and at some point, sometimes in the suburbs as well, just making Zone Metalis. Like, if I come to yours at Christmas, Miles, I'll have travelled further than I travelled in Australia. And
wow,
like so I made that bottom half of the Zone Metalis then, and then with the Ruined ZM kits coming out, like, Games Workshop very nicely sent me a Ruined ZM, and
teacher's pet.
I know. Well, I've got to say it. I've got to say it.
Sending me free stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm about to say that.
Can't say anything bad about Games Workshop.
I've got to say that because I'm about to say it's a really good set. Like these girders.
Of course you say that. You've been bought.
I'm not. They said I could slag them off. Do you know what? The mech book isn't great at all. At all. Right? They
What?
also sent me that. Fuck that book. But
Oh,
these
what?
these
What?
Ruin ZM sets, really
No,
good.
Max. No, just say it's good. Keep your sponsorship. Keep
No,
it.
I'd prefer the slight bit of integrity that hasn't been bought yet. So, right, a couple of people have asked me like how because I've done this massive overhang, right?
Yeah.
That all the right hand
Yeah. The
side of the
physics of
picture
it.
as we're looking
How
at
do
it.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
How doesn't it just topple over?
So I've got the girder set on the near side to the screen.
Yeah.
That prongs off, and then the upwards bit, I'm circling it for everyone at home so you can sort of see it.
Mm-hmm.
This bit here, that's an upside down bit of ash wastes terrain that I've cut to the height of the column, and then having the spilling out bits of wires along with the additional piping going up and down next to it has provided enough strength with this, the floor section right at the top and the pipe section going across to just hold it all in suspension. And what I've also done is been putting stuff on top of that to weigh it down, because my plan is to not glue any of the pillars on the top sections so that I can keep building upwards in future. So if I come to want to build any more to it, I can just keep building it up. That I'm quite interested in. So I've worked it out. It's going to take a minimum 6 turns of double movements to move from the bottom floor to the top. There's multiple ways. I'm already halfway through the next tile to go sideways with it, because I just sat down and did that last night, because I already had a plan in my head what I wanted to do with the second tile. It needed to join up with at least 3 faces of this one.
Right.
Basically, for whichever orientation I put them both in, needed to be able to join up, which I've done all but this front face as we're looking at it in the video, because that's just a void. So it's very hard to put anything next to it that works. But I'm quite happy with it. People will be seeing it on channel. I've sort of looked at it. The reason it's so sparse in some areas is because so I can film on the channel with it.
Yeah.
And
the practicalities of it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably do a video of exactly how I did it all. I didn't film the process of actually making it because I tried to. But there's so much does this go here? Does that go there? Does this go here? Is that better?
Yeah.
It was just impossible to get any sort of. I'd end up with the same video anyway, just cutting it all out, because it's literally just trial and error on what works.
You know, it's a similar thing with converting my own characters. The amount of time where I'm just testing stuff up, putting things back. Sorry to do this to you, but
no, go for it.
This fella.
Yeah. Oh, our Inquisitor thing.
Thing. Yeah. Now, to get the proportions right on this guy was absolute murder. To make sure that fit cleanly with that, it took around 3 days of just shaping, molding, cutting, breaking off, doing again, shaping, molding, break off again, to get the proportions correct, to make sure everything looked natural and that it wasn't, to end up with this. And the same with this guy as well. Like the amount of times I had to cut that body away to enlarge it, to put it down, to make sure the head had changed 3 times. I put one piece of cabling on here, but I decided, that the sculpt already came with cabling, but it looked different from this side. I already primed it now. Do I break it apart and do it again?
Yeah.
Or do I keep it as it is? So of course I broke it down again, cut into it, drilled. The amount of time it takes just finagling things into shape, and it's boring footage to watch as well. You can't use any of it. You can speed it up. You can maybe throw a bit of philosophy on the top of it if you want. But it's an unappreciated portion of kit bashing. That, maybe wasn't noticed.
Well, I think that's something people can just learn from your course if they come on your course, right?
Yeah, just the the amount of
Slick me,
dead
mate.
time that you
Slick
have
me.
in between them. Yeah, sure, that's
Yeah.
what I'm
Oh
saying.
no, just like the process of like, oh, actually, it's not just a finished product at the end. The amount of time that is just switching about, and then your thought process of
Get it
why you were,
right.
what
Yeah.
bits you were concentrating on. I think I found it interesting for that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's
just refinement, getting it right. Yeah.
yeah. So I've done this, and I'll go through a video of like why I have put what where and what I
Yeah,
think
that's
works and
awesome.
what didn't, and I'll go through
I
my
love
second tile.
I love looking at Necromunda terrain. Yeah, like I'm not a terrain guy. Um, I think later on in my life, maybe when my eyes go, I can work on large pieces like this, where I don't have to like dot the eyes, like the reflection point within eyes on miniatures anymore. I
You
can
see,
just
you still get that in terrain. So I'm thinking about LED lighting it,
oh no.
but also
Oh, I,
I
I got a tip for you
go
on
on.
that. It's I found like these little self-contained LED lights that you can put a Zinj Industries cap over the top of.
Oh
You don't
yeah,
need any wiring.
oh really? It's just
Yeah, you don't need any wiring at all. The battery sits on top of the LED light. You remove the tab, and then there's like an activator for it. It's like a magnetic tab that turns it on and off. And then you put like a Zinj Industries thing over the top, a diffuser, and away you go.
oh I'll see how
Make
big
it
they
work.
are. What my plan was just leave one of the leave a section at some point hollow, like not with the
Yeah.
top glued on,
Mm-hmm.
and just wire everything out of that and just sort of blend the wiring in because it's all ragged anyway. Just have the
Yeah.
wires as features on
Yeah.
rather than
Who
trying to
cares
go
if you can
through
see
them.
the wires? It's Necromunda.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've done that, and it works quite well. Like I've just been moving the stuff about on there. Enjoy doing it. Hopefully, it comes out all right.
Yeah. Works beautifully.
And that's
Works
what I've
absolutely
been
beautifully.
doing. That's what I've been doing, Miles.
That's what we have been doing. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, is there anything more we'd like to
Any other
go over?
business? I don't think there is. I don't think there is. By the time this comes out, I'll be showcasing all the wonderful work of our students on the freehand course. We have tickets for sale for a 2-day course come November 16th, I think it is, for character conversions. Oh, I'll be in Montreal. So we've just settled on a date on the 25th and 26th. 2-day course, I'll be running the character conversion course again. So teaching you how to frame a character, the kind of things you want to consider with bits theory, and more importantly, sculpting.
Is that
Learning
in
how to use
November?
green stuff. That's so I'm running one in South Wales in November from my home studio, and then one in Montreal come January the 25th. 26th.
Right, January. That's the
January, yes, in Montreal. And then in between that, we'll arrange a Christmas party here at the studio as well that we'll put on blast and we'll advertise.
cool. Right. Well, that's this.
That's issue 27.
28, I think. Maybe.
28.
I'm going to correct you to 28, even if I'm wrong.
Issue 30 is in the bag.
And we'll catch you on issue 42. See you in a bit.
Bye-bye.